Save some for the end. How many of you have never seen me before? This is your first time. Wow, almost everybody. I keep thinking I'm famous, but I guess that settles that. Anyway, I'm happy to be here. It's going to be great not to need translation today. I do a lot of traveling all around the world, and translation is an incredible challenge. You know, some things make sense in English, don't make sense in another language. First time I went to Japan, I said to my audience, he was all bent out of shape, which is okay in America, right? English, but my Japanese translator said, wouldn't have a clue how to translate that. So then you have to think of another way to say it. So it's a little bit challenging. First time I went to Taiwan, I said to my Chinese audience, he blew his top. And my Chinese translator said, wouldn't look good in Chinese. What can you do? Then multiple languages is really challenging, where everybody's got the headphones on, right? I did a big Herbalife convention, Atlanta, Georgia, 35,000, 19 languages translated, all at the same time. So everybody with the headphones on are trying to instantaneously get the translation. And with that many languages, it's interesting. You know, you hit the punchline, the Spanish get it first, and then the French get it, and then the Italians get it. Finally, the Germans get it. No, some translations take a little longer than others, so it seems like they're a little slow catching on, but not true. The translation is what's a little bit slow. Translation really is a miracle, because when you hear someone say something and you're the translator, there's probably 2, 3, 4 ways to translate it. Not just verbatim, but to translate it in its essence and the idea. So how they do that instantaneously, pick the best that they think is the best, is really a miracle. But today is going to be fun. It's great to be back home. I know some of you have come from a variety of countries, and I travel all over the world, but I'm just very happy and delighted to be back home, and especially to be back in Texas. This is really great. So it's going to be a good day. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to learn a lot. We've got some very special speakers, of course, that have come to be my guests over the next 2 or 3 days. That's going to be exciting. But I've got a lot of ideas to share with you, and I don't want to take long, because most of you have heard my story. You've maybe watched a video, listened to a cassette, or heard from someone else a little bit about my personal story. So I won't take a lot of time to do that. We want to get right at the seminar ideas. Have you got something to write on? Have you got a pen, pencil? Get ready. This is going to be a very hard-working session. I want you to be sort of exhausted by the time these 3 days are finished from not only collecting ideas, but sorting them out in your mind, figuring out how you can apply them in the various aspects of your life. So it's going to be exciting, but it's going to be hard-working. I'm going to work hard. I only do these once in a while, because 2 days going on 3 days is a pretty taxing load. I used to do one every month back when we called it the Adventures and Achievement Days. Tony Robbins was around in those days, ran one of my offices. So I used to do this 2-day every month. Once in a while, it would stretch over a 2-month period. So the workload back then seemed to be a little easier. But as the years pile on, 2.5 days seems a bit heavy. But I'm excited about being here. I'm well rested. I've been to my farm up in Idaho, southwest Idaho, where I make a little wine, grow a few crops. The old family farm, which is a great getaway place for me. So I've just recently come from there. So I'm feeling good and excited about having all of you here. It's still a bit overwhelming for me, especially when I come just from the old family farm, because I grew up there. I was born in Yakima, Washington, but my parents moved to southwest Idaho when I was 1 year old. So I was raised in southwest Idaho. So when I go back to the farm, I have breakfast with the farmers like my father did for so many years, and enjoy life there. And of course, a lot of them I went to school with in my school days. Some of them are still there farming and banking and real estate and doing all kinds of things. So it's a get-together sometimes, almost every time when I go back home. And as I wander around that part of the country, it just amazes me maybe I've just gotten back from Russia. And so I'm sitting there with the farmers in the morning telling them about my recent trip to Russia. A little hard for them to believe. I'm going back to Russia this year for my 4th visit. It started 5 years ago. And guess what I've been teaching the Russians? Capitalism. My first visit 5 years ago in Moscow, I had 8,000 people in my first class. Not far from the Kremlin, Jim Rohn, farm kid from Idaho, teaching capitalism to the Russians in Moscow. It's a bit mind-boggling. So when I get back home from these incredible travels, it's just seems so amazing to me that from where I started to where I am today has been an incredible journey. But a lot of it has been thanks to all of you over the years that have heard my story, listened to my material, benefited somewhat by it, and perhaps I've played just a little bit of a part in your success story. Some of the success stories I know of the people who have done some pretty dramatic things. Jot this down, it's one of my best lines for the day. It's very exciting when your name appears in someone's testimonial. That's an opportunity I've had for myself over the last almost 40 years now, is to make a contribution to someone's life, ideas, association, influence of some kind, and then later to have them say, I met this person, here's the contribution they made, it has served me well now in my life, business, personal, social, spiritual. And then for your name to appear in that testimonial, it's exciting. So guess why I'm here today and for this weekend? As the years unfold for me over the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, I would like to have my name appear in your testimonial. And just perhaps this session here this weekend might be an extraordinary one. It might be special, might be unique, and the things we accomplish here in sharing ideas, passing along our experiences, it might be just the right time for you. And then over the years, perhaps, my name might appear in your testimonial. But I can assure you now that this occasion will appear in my testimonial, as I often share when I go back home to California with my grandchildren and my children, my experiences as I travel around the world. So what they look forward to after I get back from Texas is to describe to them and tell them all the things that happened on a weekend like this. So I promise you that at least collectively, some of you individually because I know you, you're my friends, but at least collectively in this dramatic occasion for me this weekend, this experience that we are all going to share will appear in my testimonial when I share with my children, my grandchildren, and of course my friends, and of course my friends from Idaho, when I share with them one more time, one more experience. So that's why I'm here, and that's why it's exciting for me. But it is a little bit overwhelming from where I started to being here today, having so many of you come from so many different places to spend the weekend with me. It's a source of amazement. But I'm glad you're here, and I appreciate your welcome. It took me a long time to get here. I'm now celebrating my 39th year of lecturing to the public. So that's incredible. So I worked hard to get here, and I appreciate your applause, and I appreciate your respect and your wonderful welcome, but guess what? I deserve it. So make that note. The key is to deserve it. You know, it's not just to get it, but to deserve it. So 39 years, going on 40, now brings me here. I've been out there serving a long time, sharing ideas, and then it's wonderful to come one more time to have so many give me such a welcome. I appreciate it very much. But from the farm country of Idaho to traveling the world to coming to Dallas, my major purpose has been putting my experiences in language that might be useful. And that's a note to make, learning to put your experiences into language that might be useful to someone else. We first try to do that when we have children. Well, really the association starts earlier than that when we're in school and we communicate with each other. trying to make our language useful, whether it's in sports or whether it's in business or whether it's at home or whether it's traveling, to make our language useful to someone else, to turn on a light, to share an experience, to find some way to say something that might be meaningful to someone else. And I've challenged myself with that now, especially the last 39 years, is to try to not be lazy in language. And that's a good note to make now, not to be lazy in language. And before the day is finished now, one of our major subjects is going to be communication, affecting other people with words. And it's so important to just stay keen, stay sharp, stay clear in your ability to communicate, because it has so much to do with your income. It has so much to do with your relationships. It has so much to do with your lifestyle, your associations with colleagues and friends and family and associates, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. Language is such an important tool. It is so useful in shaping our lives, shaping our future, creating a destiny, all of that, the promise of the future. A big share of that comes from making your language useful. So one of the important subjects for today is going to be communication. But anyway, enough preliminaries. I'm just delighted to be here. We're ready to go to work, and I just want this to be a special day. Here's another note to make. The early Christians were taught not to neglect the assembly. Because when Christianity first started, they were brand new, and I'm sure that was part of it. But the word was, when we call an assembly, a get-together with everybody, it's very important to be there every time you possibly can. A constant reminder that wherever there's good ideas being taught, whether it's the lyrics of a song from a presentation or the message from a minister on a Sunday morning, or whether it's a play on Broadway, or whether it's conversation with a group that's gathering, it's important to be at every occasion you possibly can, where good ideas are being shared and someone's influence is going to be valuable. And here's why. Make this note. Some of those occasions will be dramatic. If you attend every class, every training, every sermon, every get-together, every seminar, every convention, perhaps of the business you happen to be in, all of that, if you attend regularly, constantly, places where good ideas are going to be shared, the influence is going to be great, some of those occasions are going to be special. Make this note. Some may be so special you'll never be the same again. You'll look back on it, perhaps, make a note on your calendar. This was one of the days that changed my life. This was one of the days when some more lights went on and I've never been the same. This was the day that helped to develop my influence so that I could help other people. This was the day. And I said a little prayer before I left my hotel room today, and here was my prayer. I hope this is one of those special days. I don't know particularly where you are in your life, whether it's springtime, you've got something new going, summertime, you're toughing it out. For maybe some of you, it's wintertime, you've got some heavy experiences to handle. For some of you, I know it's harvest time, because I know some of you, and you're cashing in on, past years of sowing and doing your job, and now things are really going extremely well. But whatever time I have caught you, whatever season, I just hope this is one of those special days when the atmosphere is right and the association is right, because a big part of this weekend is going to be associating with the people you'll have a chance to meet here. Because here's what's important, and make this note. That's why I've invited some guests on this special weekend to come and be with me. It takes more than one voice to learn everything we need to know to shape our lives. No one person has all the answers. The Bible is a collection of 66 books. Not just one author, not just one, but a collection. And that's why seminars and study time is so valuable. It's a chance to hear from another voice, another collection of voices. So here's what I would ask you to do this weekend also, is to make your acquaintances, make those meaningful. If you have a chance to talk to somebody, find out who they are and where they're from and what they do, just in those, we sometimes call them casual conversations, but sometimes from casual conversation can come something incredibly meaningful. So I'm asking you from all aspects of what we offer this weekend, not just my presentation and Zig's and the others, but your presentations to each other. If you'll gather all of that up this weekend, you will walk out of here so much richer than when you walked in. It'll be incredible. And then all of us might look back on this incredible weekend in June 2001 as one of those extraordinary, special times. And we were never the same again.